class. So today we're going to continue our evaluation of combat medics, looking them from, at this point in time, the Civil War up to modern day, through the 4 articles that were acquired through JSTOR search engine. The first article was actually written by D.C. Smith. It was looking at the Civil War. This article is unique on the fact that it kind of covers how combat medicine has adapted, how it has evolved, especially in this very early stage of military medicine. And this is kind of where we actually, the reason I picked this and I didn't go back any further is at this point is we're looking at, this is where we actually see them actually setting up field hospitals as they're putting out a tent out near the battlefield to start actually process the wounded and actually tend to those who are in need. This is also where we start seeing them actually create an ambulance. They get a cart, they load it, they're getting the wounded loaded up, they're then moving them into this area where they're then doing battlefield surgery and getting them all put together, either to either get them back out into combat or to send them back home, whichever the case may be. And this is something that goes through with all the articles. This is the main point of combat medicine, is to treat the wounded, get them back as quickly to combat or into the workforce in the civilian sector so that they can provide for the war. Either case, the major thing that's always been found out is the sooner that you get to the wounded, the sooner you get them treated, the earlier you get them treated, the better their chances of surviving and surviving in more intact to continue on. This is an issue that comes up. But anyway, the second article that we're looking at was done by Howard Grant. This one's called Get 'em Home Too Sweet, and it's actually looking at what is called the guy calls himself a chauffeur. You had during World War One, the two categories of your medic is the chauffeur or the sanitary men. Sanitary men were ones who actually sat there. They actually did all the triaging and everything else. The chauffeur is the one who went out, grabbed them, put the initial bandaging on them and that, and brought them back for the sanitary men to then process and actually do more of the actual care, get them triaged, get them moved out. The article itself is more about the demobilization of the World War One troops, but the fact that what I drew it for and the information I'm gathering on it is the fact in the beginning they're also talking about this guy's training. They're going about the how little he's trained, how much, very little he knows. They also kind of look at the difference between enlisted medical training and officer training, as such as doctors is years, enlisted is weeks. Hence why enlisted are uh, basically expendable, because you don't have as much time invested into them. The next one done by Bernard Rice. Bernard Rice is actually a World War II combat medic. He actually is sitting there. He's going into his his coming into the military. His training still comes back to the thing where has very little training. He's taught how to use, if there's a rash, to swab it with iodine, to bandage wounds, to use sulfa, all the basics of keeping the soldier alive enough to get him back to a higher level of care, which is always going to be the situation. This is always what's going to happen, even in today. The last one is actually looking at, it's done also by Howard Grant, and this one is looking at, he starts off talking about Vietnam. He also points out undertrained, everything else, but he then continues on to say that in today's medics are more equipped to actually handle situations of combat, say the situations of war itself.